The elevator doors open on the 42nd floor, and I step into a hallway that smells like rain and expensive leather. I'm not supposed to be here. That thought moves through my body like cold water as my heels click against marble. Room 4207. Not 4217. I've been staring at the reservation confirmation for an hour a girls' weekend, paid by my boss, a thank you for the Hartley account I landed last week. Except somewhere between the lobby and this floor, I misread the number, or the elevator doors opened on the wrong level, or my exhaustion finally caught up with me. The hallway is quiet in a way that feels deliberate. I should turn around. I should call the front desk, but my feet are sore, and I just want to lie down, and surely the room will be empty anyway. I'll slip in, realize my mistake, slip back out. No harm. My keycard hovers near the door. The moment I touch it to the reader, I feel it, that strange electromagnetic shift in the air that makes animals go silent before a storm. My breath catches. My skin pricks. The lock clicks green. I push the door. The room is dark except for the city lights bleeding through floor-to-ceiling windows, and for a second, I see only the silhouette of the skyline. Then my eyes adjust. A figure sits in a high-backed leather chair, facing away from me, smoking a cigarette. The orange ember glows like a heartbeat in the darkness. I open my mouth. Nothing comes out. "You're early," he says. His voice is low and textured, like gravel under satin. It carries the weight of someone used to being obeyed. The cigarette smoke curls up in thin, deliberate lines, and I notice his hand large, scarred across the knuckles, steady as stone. "I'm sorry, my words trip over themselves. Wrong room. I'm so sorry, I'll just..." "Your name." It's not a question. It's a command wrapped in courtesy, and something about it makes me stop. Something about the way he doesn't turn around, doesn't move, just waits for me to answer like he has all the time in the world and I have none. "I'm leaving," I say instead, and I mean it. My hand finds the doorknob behind me. The chair turns. He rises slowly, still backlit by the city. I see the shape of him, first broad shoulders, the lean cut of his body in a charcoal suit before my eyes find his face. When they do, the air in my lungs stops moving. He's beautiful in a way that doesn't make sense. Not kind beautiful. Not approachable beautiful. Beautiful the way a knife is. Beautiful, sharp, purposeful, dangerous. His eyes are dark gray, almost black in this light, and they're looking at me like I'm a puzzle he's deciding whether to solve. "You came through that door for a reason," he says quietly. "Now you're going to tell me what it is. I made a mistake with the room number." "No." He steps closer, and I see a gun on the table behind him, gleaming like a promise. "You're a spy, or you're lost, or you're the kind of woman who accepts invitations that aren't meant for her." His head tilts slightly. "Which is it?" My heart is hammering against my ribs so hard I'm sure he can hear it. "None of those things," I whisper. "I'm just a person who got on the wrong elevator." He studies me for a long moment. His eyes move across my face like he's reading something written in a language only he understands. I'm acutely aware of everything, the faint smell of his cologne. Something dark and woody. The way his tie is loosened just enough to suggest he's been undoing it. The cold marble against my back as I press myself against the wall. When he speaks again, his voice is different, softer, which somehow makes it more terrifying. "You're not lying," he says. "But you're not telling me the whole truth either." "I don't know what you mean." "You felt it," he says. "The moment you walked in. The thing that told you to run. You sensed what I am before you even looked at me." He moves to the window, and for a moment, the city light catches the sharp line of his jaw. "Most people don't. Most people need to be told, but you." He turns back to face me. "You already know something's wrong with me, don't you?" My mouth is dry. "I don't." "It's in your eyes," he continues, as if I haven't spoken. "That particular look, like you're standing in front of something beautiful and broken and absolutely dangerous, and you're trying to decide if you should run or stay and see what happens." "I'm running," I say, and I reach for the door again. His hand moves faster than should be possible. He's suddenly between me and the exit, and he hasn't touched me, but I feel trapped anyway. "Sit," he says. "You're not leaving tonight." The certainty in those words, the absolute absence of question mark, does something to me. It cracks something open in my chest, something I thought was sealed. Fear and fascination pour out together, indistinguishable from each other. I don't sit. I can't sit. But I also can't move, which is almost the same thing. "Who are you?" I ask. He doesn't answer directly. Instead, he moves back toward the table, toward that gun, and my breath stops. But he doesn't touch it. He touches the glass of whiskey beside it instead, brings it to his lips, and drinks like he has nothing to prove and nothing to fear. The real question, he says softly, is who are you? And more importantly, how much of the truth can you handle before you break? Outside the windows, the city glitters. Rain begins to fall, soft at first, then harder, streaking the glass. The sound of it is like static, like the world is being erased. I realize then that I'm still standing in the doorway, that I haven't run, that some part of me, some terrifying, hungry part, is already answering his question. I'm the kind of woman who walks into the wrong hotel room and forgets to walk back out, and he's the kind of man who makes sure of it. I sit because my legs stop obeying me, not because he told me to. The chair I choose is across from the high-backed leather throne where he was sitting when I came in, close enough to speak, far enough to run, except we both know I won't run now. There's a tether between us that I can feel but not name, and it tightens the longer I stay. He watches me settle into the chair like he's cataloging every movement, how my hands grip the armrests, how my breath comes shallow and quick, how my eyes keep flicking toward the gun on the table. It won't go off by itself, he says, following my gaze. I'm very careful with my weapons. Is that supposed to be comforting? A smile touches his mouth. It's not warm. It's the smile of someone who finds dark humor in dark situations. No, it's supposed to be honest. He sits back down in his chair, and suddenly there's a strange intimacy in the way we're positioned facing each other, separated only by the glass table with its gun and whiskey and a single, fading cigarette. It feels like an interrogation, but also like something else. Something older. I need your name, he says. Real one. And if I don't give it to you, then we spend the night doing this dance, until you decide I'm trustworthy enough, or until you're scared enough, or until... He pauses, and his eyes go darker, until I decide what happens next. There's no threat in his voice. That's what makes it threatening. Natalie, I say. Natalie Reeves. I'm an accountant. I work for Hartwell and Associates downtown. I'm here for a company weekend, and I got on the wrong elevator. And I genuinely don't know anything that would be of interest to anyone in a hotel room on the 42nd floor. I'm babbling. I never babble. But fear and adrenaline are making me talk like a faucet someone left on. He nods slowly, like I've just confirmed something he already knew. I'm going to tell you something, he says, and you're going to listen without interrupting. Can you do that? I nod, though I have no idea if I can. My name is Matteo Rossi. I am, as you've probably started to sense, not a legitimate businessman. The things I do exist in spaces that the law doesn't touch. The people I associate with are people who understand that violence is sometimes the only language that works. He leans back, and the leather sighs under his weight. And tonight, I was waiting for someone to walk through that door. Not you, but you're here now. Which means either my security is compromised, or God is playing a joke. The casual way he says it, violence, illegal, dangerous, doesn't match the quiet tone. If anything, the quiet makes it worse, more real. You should call security, I hear myself say. Get me out of here. I could. He picks up the cigarette again, takes a long drag. But I won't. Why not? Because, he says slowly, I'm genuinely curious about what happens next. Outside, the rain intensifies. Lightning flickers across the skyline, and for a moment, the whole city goes white. In that flash of light, I see him clearly see the sharp geometry of his face, the small scar above his left eye, the way his gaze is fixed on me like I'm the only real thing in the room. You're terrified, he observes. Yes, and yet you haven't screamed. You haven't fought. You haven't tried to bargain your way out. Maybe I'm hoping this is some elaborate prank. You don't believe that. He's right. I don't. Somewhere in the first 30 seconds of this conversation, I recognized the truth in his words. Not just the words themselves, but the weight behind them. This man is telling the truth about what he is. A criminal. Dangerous. Someone who has probably hurt people. And I'm sitting across from him in his hotel room, while rain destroys the city. And some part of me, the part I've tried to quiet my whole life, is awake in a way it's never been before. What do you want from me? I ask. Right now? Company. He stubs out the cigarette in a crystal ashtray. I was supposed to be negotiating a deal tonight. The man who was coming here wanted to discuss territory and price. He was going to threaten me. I was going to not respond to his threats. The night would end with either an understanding or his blood on this carpet. Then you walked in, and suddenly, I had a choice. The choice to let me go? No, he says. The choice to let you stay. My fingers dig into the armrests. I want to go. Do you? It's a simple question, and it's the most dangerous one he's asked. Because the answer is no. And we both know it. You don't know anything about me, I say instead. I know you landed the Hartley account. I know that's your second major account this year. I know your boss is a coward who takes credit for other people's work. And I know you've been looking for a way out for 6 months. He tilts his head. Should I go on? The shock of it is physical. He's been investigating me. Which means he knew I was here. Which means, that was you, I whisper. You arranged for me to be in this hotel. Not me, but yes. I set it in motion. Why? Because, he says quietly, I've been watching you for a long time, Natalie Reeves. And I wanted to see if the woman I've been hearing about was real, or just a story someone told me. I wanted to see what you'd do when you found yourself in a room with a man who could destroy you. I wanted to understand what you're made of. My voice doesn't work. My lungs don't work. The room tilts slightly, and I understand then that I'm not really safe in this moment. That nothing about what's happening is safe. That the danger I sensed when I walked in isn't just in the gun on the table, it's in him. It's in the way he looks at me. It's in the fact that he's orchestrated this whole night. I want to go. I say again, but it comes out as a question. No, he says gently. You don't. And the terrifying part is that he's right. The night stretches out like something alive. He doesn't let me leave the room, but he also doesn't touch me. Instead, he orders room service, or rather, he makes a phone call, speaks in rapid Italian to someone on the other end, and 20 minutes later, there's food on the table. Pasta, fresh bread, wine that costs more than my monthly rent. He moves around the suite like he's comfortable in his own body, like the world arranges itself according to his preferences. And I realize this room probably belongs to him, not rented, owned. I eat because my body demands it, and because accepting the food creates a strange domesticity that makes this less terrifying. If he was going to hurt me, he wouldn't feed me first. That's what I tell myself. Anyway, tell me about your father, he says suddenly, while I'm twirling pasta onto a fork. How do you know about my father? I know everything about you, Natalie. The statement should anger me, but instead it confirms something I've been sensing since he first spoke. This wasn't an accident. The wrong room, the wrong elevator, none of it was accident. He reached into my life and pulled me here deliberately, and some part of me understands why he did it, even if I can't say it out loud. My father was a police officer, I say carefully. He died when I was 12. Car accident. No, Matteo says. His voice is different now. Not softer exactly, but less guarded. Car accident is what the report said. But your father was investigating something. The wrong something. For the wrong people. The food turns to ash in my mouth. You're lying. I'm not. And you know I'm not. Because on some level, you've always known. You've always felt that the story didn't fit, that there were edges that didn't line up. He leans forward, elbows on his knees. Your father was investigating my family. Not me, I was too young then. My father. And when your father got close, it became a problem. The room spins slowly around me. I set down my fork with deliberate care. Why are you telling me this? Because, he says, you need to know what you're sitting across from. Not the mafia boss, not the criminal, but the person who, indirectly, is responsible for your father's death. I wait for the anger. It doesn't come. What comes instead is a strange recognition, a sense that pieces of a puzzle I've carried my whole life are finally clicking into place. My mother never talked about the investigation, I say quietly. Your mother was paid to stop asking questions. She was paid a lot of money. She used it to move you and your sister to a different state, to give you both better lives. She never told you because she was trying to protect you. From what? From the truth. From the fact that your father's death wasn't an accident. From the reality that the world is darker than the one she wanted you to grow up in. I stand up. My legs feel disconnected from my body, like I'm operating them remotely. I walk to the window and press my palm against the glass. The rain has turned the city into a watercolor painting, all bleeding edges and washed out lights. Why didn't you kill me? I ask. Just now, while I was sitting across from you. Why not? Because you're not a threat, he says. Your mother made sure of that. She raised you far away from this world. You have no knowledge that could hurt me. You have no connections to anyone who could hurt me. You're just a woman who landed an account and is trying to build a life. Then why are you telling me any of this? There's a long silence. I hear him stand, hear his footsteps cross the carpet. He stops just short of touching me, and I can feel the warmth of him at my back. Because I need you to understand what I am, he says quietly. Before anything happens between us, you need to know that this us would be a choice, not a fantasy, not a romance. A choice to stand next to a man who has done unspeakable things and will do unspeakable things again. I turn to face him. In the reflection of the window, we look like two ghosts, pale, translucent, caught between the real world and something darker. He's close enough that I can see the details I missed before. The dark smudge under his left eye like he hasn't slept. The fine scar that runs from his temple to his jaw. The way his hands hang at his sides like weapons he's learned to control. Why should I believe you? I ask. You shouldn't, he says. Belief would be dangerous. But you can believe this. I've never lied to you. Not since you walked through that door. I think about the gun on the table. I think about my father, dead at 38. I think about my mother, taking money to keep silence. I think about the fact that I walked into the wrong hotel room and found out my entire childhood was built on a lie. I hate you, I say. I know. I should leave. You could try. Is that an offer or a threat? Neither. He reaches up slowly and tucks a strand of hair behind my ear. It's such a small gesture, so gentle, that it breaks something open in my chest. It's a choice I'm giving you. The door is there. Walk through it, and I'll make sure you're safe. You'll never see me again. You'll go back to your life, and you'll wonder about this night, and you'll try to forget it. Or you stay. You learn who I really am. Not the story, the man. And we see what happens when two people who shouldn't fit together find themselves unable to stay apart. The rain drums against the window. Somewhere in the city, people are sleeping, living normal lives, unaware that their worlds could crack open at any moment, that the stories they tell themselves about their parents and their pasts could be rebuilt into something unrecognizable. I reach up and touch his face. My fingers find the scar, trace its length slowly. He doesn't move. He just watches me with those dark eyes while I map the landscape of his destruction. What's your symbolic weakness? I ask. A small smile touches his mouth. What? Every man like you has one. Something that matters more than power or territory or money. He catches my wrist gently, brings my palm to his mouth, and presses a kiss against it. The touch burns like a brand. Apparently, he says softly, it's a woman who walks into the wrong hotel room and decides to stay. By the time the sun rises, I've committed treason against every sensible part of myself. I don't leave the hotel room. Instead, I call the company and claim food poisoning. I hang up before they can ask questions. Matteo makes more phone calls, speaks in Italian and Russian, and something I don't recognize. And somehow I understand that he's recalibrating his entire week to keep me here. That my presence has disrupted something. A meeting, a negotiation, a network of plans that required his attention. You're going to get killed because of me, I say at one point, while he's showering, and I'm sitting on the marble bathroom counter, watching steam curl around his silhouette. Probably, he calls over the sound of water. But not today. He emerges wrapped in a towel, droplets clinging to his shoulders, and I'm struck by how young he looks without the armor of his tailored suit. Maybe 35, maybe younger. The scars on his chest tell a different story, though one of knives and bullets and decisions made at the wrong moment. I reach out and touch one, a jagged line that runs parallel to his ribs. Who hurt you? I ask. A lot of people. He takes my hand and places it over his heart. But I hurt them more. That's the moment I realize I'm falling. Not into love, not yet. Maybe not ever, but into something that feels like voluntary darkness. Like I'm choosing to step off a cliff and trusting him to catch me before I hit the ground. By afternoon, his phone begins ringing with increasing frequency. Each time he answers, his voice becomes more clipped, more dangerous. I piece together fragments. Someone called Vincenzo has moved on Matteo's territory. Someone called Lucia is asking questions about a shipment. Someone called Dante is preparing for war. You need to go, I tell him, though I don't want him to leave. I'm not leaving you alone. I'll be fine. I can go back to my hotel, back to my life. No. He's putting on his suit, piece by piece, and with each layer, the dangerous man returns. The one from last night. The one who owns rooms and has people killed. They know about you now. The moment you left this room, Every rival family within 500 miles would hear about Matteo Rossi's mystery woman. So what do? You stay here. You don't call anyone. You don't leave. You don't look out the windows at the wrong times. And you trust me to keep you alive. That's not fair. No. He agrees, checking his phone one more time before turning to face me. None of this is fair. You should be back in your hotel room, eating room service and complaining about your job. Instead, you're here, and you know too much, and you matter too much, and that makes you leverage. I'm your leverage? You're my liability, he corrects. Which is worse. He kisses me before he leaves, a brief, hard kiss that tastes like regret and necessity. I taste blood from where his teeth catch my lip. I'll be back tonight, he says. Don't answer the door for anyone. There's a gun in the nightstand. Don't hesitate to use it. And then he's gone, and I'm alone in his penthouse suite with a citywide view and the sudden, sickening understanding that I've walked into something I can't walk back from. The hours that follow are strange. I move through the space like a ghost, touching his things, learning him through his belongings. There's a bookshelf with literature in 5 languages. A photo, just one, of a woman who looks like he might, if I squint, be his mother. A bottle of very old scotch that he doesn't drink from often, based on the dust on the bottle. A small wooden box containing a wedding ring and a key to somewhere I don't recognize. I'm holding the ring when the power cuts out. The suite goes dark all at once, except for the emergency lights that cast everything in deep red. My heart doesn't just accelerate, it becomes a hummingbird in my chest, beating so fast I think it might break through bone. I find the nightstand in the darkness, feel for the gun. It's there, heavier than I expected, cold. Voices in the hallway. Not security, not hotel staff. These voices are low and purposeful, and I hear the metallic click of a weapon being chambered. My hands shake as I move to the door and lock it. It's a hotel lock. It would take 5 seconds to break through if someone really wanted to. Rossi, a man's voice, thick with an accent I don't recognize. We know she's in there, the girl. Send her out and we let you live. My breath is a scream trapped in my throat. The emergency lights cast everything in blood-colored shadow, and I press myself against the wall, gun pointed at the door with both hands. I've never fired a weapon. I've never even held one before today. But I understand, with absolute clarity, that I'm about to. Natalie. It's Matteo's voice, coming through the door. Stay down. And then the shooting starts. The sound is indescribable, not like in movies, but something raw. Gunshots that sound like the world splitting, glass shattering, men screaming, the smell of gunpowder and blood and adrenaline so thick I can taste it on my tongue. I'm curled on the bathroom floor, gun still in my hands, when the door to the suite bursts open. I hear Matteo's voice, sharp and brutal, giving orders in Italian. I hear something wet and terrible, like a body hitting expensive furniture, then silence, except for the sound of my own breathing and the emergency lights buzzing overhead like angry wasps. The bathroom door opens, and Matteo steps through, covered in someone else's blood. You're okay? He asks, reaching for me. I can't answer. I can't move. I can only stare at his face, at the blood spatter on his suit, at the gun hanging loosely at his side, and understand that I've just witnessed what he's truly capable of. Come on, he says gently, and he pulls me to my feet. We need to leave. Now. We don't go to another hotel. Instead, we drive through the pre-dawn darkness in a car that appears without my understanding how, piloted by a man named Gio, who has kind eyes and a scar that looks like it's been treated with a great deal of violence. Matteo sits beside me in the back seat, one hand on my knee, not explaining, not apologizing, just ensuring I don't evaporate with terror. Where are we going? I finally ask, when I can form words again. Somewhere safe, he says. My place upstate. It's remote, secure. They can't touch you there. They? The Valentino family. Dante sent them to use you as leverage. It was a calculated move. He knows I'm territorial about what's mine. I'm not yours. Yes, you are, he says without inflection. You became mine the moment you walked through that door. I should fight this. I should rage and demand to be let out of the car. Instead, I watch the city transform into suburbs into farmland, and feel something in me settle into a strange acceptance. The house is nothing like I expected. No fortress, no ostentatious displays of wealth. Instead, it's a beautiful, old cottage set back from a private road, surrounded by pine trees and the sound of a stream running somewhere invisible. It looks like the kind of place people go to disappear. Inside, it smells like cedar and old wood. Matteo moves through it with the ease of someone who's spent significant time here, removing his blood-stained suit, moving into the shower while I stand in the middle of a living room, still wearing yesterday's clothes. When he emerges, he's wearing sweatpants and nothing else, and I can see the full extent of his scars now. There are more than I realized. Some old, faded white, some newer, still pink, one across his ribs that looks like it nearly killed him. "Don't," he says, seeing me reach out to touch one. "Don't what?" "Don't start caring about what happens to me. That's a road that only ends in heartbreak." "Too late," I whisper. He takes me by the shoulders then, and his grip is tight enough that I feel the strength in him, the potential for violence that never goes away. "Listen to me," he says. "What happened at the hotel? What you saw, that's who I am. Not the romance, not the confession about your father, not the soft moments. That's the baseline. That's what you get every single day if you stay with me. I know. Do you? Do you understand that I killed 2 men last night? That their families are probably looking for them right now? That there will be consequences, and those consequences might kill you? I understand. And you're staying?" I reach up and touch the scar on his jaw. This time, he doesn't stop me. "I'm staying," I say. We fall into an unexpected rhythm over the next week. Days blur together, morning coffee on the back porch, afternoon walks through the woods where he teaches me to shoot properly. Conversations that range from beautiful to brutal. He tells me stories from his childhood. His father, a cruel man who built an empire on other people's misery. His mother, who left when he was 7. His older brother, murdered when Matteo was 15, which is what pulled him into the family business. I tell him about my mother, about the truth of my father's death, and how it rewrites every memory I have of my childhood. I tell him about the nights I spent wondering if my father was actually the man I remembered, or something darker. And Matteo listens, really listens, without trying to fix it or minimize it. "It wasn't your fault," I tell him one night, while we're sitting in front of a fire, my head on his shoulder. "Yes, it was," he says simply. "Not directly. But my family killed your father, and I've inherited that guilt along with everything else they left me. You could walk away." "No, I couldn't. Walking away from my family is death. There's no exit strategy. There's only staying and trying to do less damage than my father did." I lift my head and kiss him then. It's the first time I've initiated it, and the moment our mouths touch, something shifts. It's not soft or tender. It's hungry and desperate, and tastes like every complicated thing we've never said aloud. He pulls back first, breathing hard. "Natalie." "I know," I say. "I understand, but I want this anyway." He carries me to the bedroom, a room I've been sleeping in alone for a week, and he shows me what sex means when it's between 2 people who are trying to devour each other instead of themselves. It's not gentle, it's not romantic in the way that songs promise. It's raw and intense and feels like the most honest thing that's happened between us. Afterward, we lie tangled together, and I can feel his heartbeat beneath my ear, strong and steady. "I'm going to destroy you," he says softly into my hair. "Probably, I agree. But I'm going to try to destroy you first." He laughs, a real laugh, not the dark chuckle he uses in the city, and it sounds like hope. It sounds like a man who thought he was broken, finally recognizing something worth not breaking. But the peace doesn't last. At midnight, his phone rings. He answers it without turning on a light, and I hear the shift in his voice immediately, the softness evaporating, the danger returning. "When?" he demands. Silence. "How many?" More silence. "I'm coming back. Tell Gio to get the car ready. We leave in an hour." He hangs up and sits on the edge of the bed, his silhouette outlined by the moonlight. "What happened?" I ask, though I'm afraid I already know. Dante escalated. He moved on 3 of my warehouses. He's burning the bridges. He's declaring war. What does that mean for me? Matteo turns to face me, and in the darkness, I can barely see his expression. "It means," he says quietly, "that I have to go back to the city. It means I have to finish this, whatever it takes. And it means you can't come with me." "No," I say immediately. "No, You're staying here. Gio will guard you. The doors lock from the inside. There's enough supplies for 3 months. Matteo, this is non-negotiable." He leans down and kisses my forehead, and it feels like goodbye. "I brought you to this. I owe you my best attempt at keeping you alive. And my best attempt means putting distance between you and what's about to happen. What if you don't come back?" He doesn't answer, which is answer enough. 3 days pass. Then 4. The cottage becomes a beautiful prison. Gio brings supplies, brings information, brings the news that Matteo has retaken 2 warehouses but lost one in the process. That 3 men are dead, Matteo's men, which means 3 families are grieving. That Dante is regrouping, planning something larger. I ask Gio about Matteo's previous girlfriend, and he looks at me like I've asked him to commit treason. There wasn't one, he says carefully. Not ever? Not like this. What does that mean? It means, Gio says, that in 10 years of working for him, I've never seen him bring someone to the cottage. I've never seen him tell someone about his family. I've never seen him let his guard down like he does with you. So this is new. This is dangerous, Gio corrects. For both of you. On the 5th day, the electricity goes out. Not a flicker or a brownout, a complete, deliberate cut. I stand in the cottage as darkness falls, and I feel the teeth of a trap closing around me. Gio has gone into town for supplies. I'm alone. I find the generator in the basement, try to start it, and nothing happens. The fuel valve has been tampered with. Someone has been here. My hands are shaking as I lock myself in the bedroom and wait for the inevitable. The window breaks at 2 a.m. I fire the gun without thinking twice, into the darkness, and then I'm running, barefoot, through the cottage, through the back door, into the forest where the night is absolute and terrible. Branches cut my skin. Rocks slice my feet. I run until my lungs feel like they're full of glass, and then I keep running because the alternative is being caught. It's the beam of a flashlight that finds me first. I spin around with the gun raised, and it's, Jesus Christ, Gio says, dropping his hand and his own weapon. It's me. It's okay. You're safe. They were in the cottage. I know. I dealt with it. But we need to get you out of here. Now. Matteo's orders. Where is he? Fighting. He's fighting in a warehouse by the harbor. I don't mean to end up there. Gio is supposed to drive me to a safe house, but his radio crackles with updates, with the sound of violence in progress. And when I see the address, I recognize it. It's one of Matteo's properties. He's there. Take me, I tell Gio. Absolutely not. Then let me out of the car, and I'll walk. He looks at me like I'm insane, and maybe I am. But I've spent 5 days in a cottage waiting to hear if the man I've fallen for was still alive, and I'm not doing it anymore. I'm going to find him, and I'm going to see what this costs. Gio curses in Italian, makes a 3-point turn, and drives toward the sound of gunfire. The warehouse is chaos. Broken windows, smoke, the acrid smell of discharged weapons, men moving in shadows, shouting in languages I don't understand. Gio pulls me through a side entrance, through corridors I didn't know existed, toward a back office, where I hear voices. Matteo is there, along with 3 other men, looking at blueprints of something. His suit jacket is gone, his shirt torn, and there's blood on his hands that might or might not be his. When he sees me, his entire body goes still. Get her out of here, he says to Gio. I'm not leaving, I say. Natalie. No, I'm done leaving. I'm done waiting. I'm done being put away like I'm something fragile. I move toward him, and one of his men steps forward to stop me, but Matteo raises his hand. Tell me what's happening. Tell me the truth. He looks at me for a long moment, and I see something break in his face. Dante has decided to kill me, he says simply. He's had the advantage of numbers, surprise, resources. I'm going to have the advantage of being willing to lose everything to stop him. Meaning that at sunrise, I'm going to walk into the Valentino compound, and I'm going to end this. You'll be killed, probably. He reaches out and takes my face in his hands. But not before I make sure you're safe. I don't want to be safe. Not like this. Not without you. One of his men clears his throat, and Matteo turns to him with an expression that could cut glass. Give us a minute. They file out. And suddenly it's just us in this office, with the sound of violence happening in the city outside and the weight of every choice that's led us here. I love you, I say, and it's not how I meant to say it. It's supposed to be bigger, more cinematic, more earned. But here in this warehouse with blood on his hands and death waiting outside, it's what comes out. Matteo's entire body goes rigid. Don't, he whispers. I do. I know it's insane. I know it's been a week. But I love you. He pulls me to him and kisses me like he's trying to erase the words, like he's trying to consume them before they can become real. His hands shake actual tremors, and when he pulls back, there are tears on his face. I've never loved anyone, he says roughly. I don't know how to do this and stay alive. Then don't stay alive, I tell him. Stay with me instead. That's not a choice I can make. Yes, it is. You can walk away from this. You can tell Dante. Tell him what? That I'm in love with someone, so I'm abandoning my territory? That I'm suddenly soft? That makes you the target forever, Natalie. The only way I keep you alive is by winning. The only way I win is by being willing to die. And if you die, then at least you'll know I tried. He doesn't let me watch the sunrise from the window. Instead, we spend the last hours before dawn in the back office of his warehouse, and he tells me things he's never told anyone. He tells me about his mother, who left him in his crib for 3 days while she was with another man. He tells me about his brother, who tried to protect him, but couldn't. He tells me about the first person he killed, a man who had stolen from his father, and how the violence felt like coming home. I was 16, he says. I should have felt something. Horror, maybe. Guilt. Instead, I felt relief. Like I'd finally found the thing I was meant to do. Why are you telling me this? Because if something goes wrong today, I need you to understand that I wasn't a good man trapped in a bad situation. I chose this. Every part of it. The violence, the empire, the blood. I chose it because it was the only way I knew how to feel powerful. And now? Now I'm choosing something else. He takes my hands. I'm choosing you. It's probably the wrong choice. It's definitely the wrong choice. But I'm making it anyway. At 6 a.m., Matteo stands to leave. I follow him to the door of the warehouse. And even though I know the protocol, even though Gio is waiting to take me somewhere safe, I hold onto his arm like I can keep him here through force of will. Don't say goodbye, I tell him. Then I won't. He kisses my temple, my forehead, my mouth. I'll say, I'll see you tonight. And you're going to believe that. You're going to hold on to that. And you're going to stay alive. Because if you die, then everything I'm about to do is for nothing. Matteo, promise me. I promise. He leaves then, walking toward a car with Gio, toward whatever violence is waiting at the Valentino compound. I watch until the car disappears into the morning traffic, and then the world goes silent in a way that feels like death. The safe house is downtown, in a luxury apartment building that doesn't make sense until I understand that Matteo owns it. Gio positions men at every entrance, every window. He brings me food I don't eat, water I don't drink, and updates that trickle in throughout the day. Matteo's men have taken the Valentino compound. Dante has retreated to a secondary location. There's been a casualty count, but Gio won't tell me who's included in those numbers. By evening, I'm pacing the apartment like a caged animal, and by night, I'm sitting by the window, watching the city, waiting for him. He arrives at midnight. I know he's coming before Gio brings him in. I feel it in the air. A shift in gravity. Matteo is covered in blood. His suit is shredded. There's a gash above his eye that looks like it might need stitches, but he's alive. And when he sees me, he moves like a man who's been fighting just to get back to this moment. I run to him, and he catches me. And for a moment, we're just two people holding each other in the middle of violence and darkness. Dante? I ask. Dead, Matteo says, along with his leadership. The Valentino family is in chaos. It'll take them months to reorganize. The cost? 12 of my men. 8 of his. 1 of his blood cousins, who tried to negotiate. I hear the flat tone in his voice, and I understand that this is what it means to be a Mafia boss. This is what victory looks like. Not triumph, not relief. Just the cold mathematics of power and survival. What happens now? I ask. He pulls back and looks at me with something like devastation in his eyes. Now I become what I need to become to protect what matters, he says. I consolidate territory. I make examples of people who thought they could move on me. I become the thing people fear more than death. Will you still come home to me? Yes. He touches my face like I'm made of glass. But I'm going to change. You'll see it. You'll hate it. And you'll leave. Because there's no version of this where you stay and don't lose yourself. You don't get to make that choice for me. I'm telling you what happens, not asking permission. Well, I'm telling you that you're wrong, I say. I came into a hotel room, and you told me I had a choice. I chose to stay. I'm still choosing to stay. And you don't get to change the rules now because you're scared. Something cracks in his composure then. His grip on me tightens, and when he speaks, his voice is raw. I'm terrified, he admits. I've spent my entire life building walls, and you came along and I started taking them down. And now you have someone who knows exactly how dark you are and stayed anyway. He kisses me with desperate intensity, and I taste blood from his cut lip. And it doesn't matter because I'm kissing him back like it's the only true thing in the world. 2 weeks later, the true cost of victory becomes apparent. Mateo's business expands territory, shipments, protection rackets. He becomes more powerful, and in becoming more powerful, he becomes more distant. He leaves early. He returns late. When he's home, there's a phone to his ear, or he's in the study with maps and ledgers and men who wear violence like cologne. I see the soft man from the cottage disappear, replaced by the brutal businessman who has to make impossible decisions. He orders an execution. He orchestrates a kidnapping. He burns a rival's business to the ground, with the rival still inside. Though he says it was an accident, I don't know if I believe him. One night, I wake to find him sitting on the terrace of our apartment, a gun in one hand and a glass of whiskey in the other. He's been crying. What happened? I ask, sitting beside him. I ordered the death of a man with 4 children, he says. He knew too much. He was going to talk to the FBI, so I had him killed, and his wife will be a widow, and those children will grow up without their father, and I'll sleep fine tonight because this is who I am. I take the gun from his hand carefully. No, I say. You're not that person. You're just pretending to be. I'm not pretending anything. He turns to face me with eyes that look dead. This is what you signed up for, Natalie. Not the romance. This, the blood, the bodies, the fact that I'll destroy anyone who threatens what's mine, without hesitation or regret. I signed up for the person who kills when he has to, not because he wants to. How do you know the difference? And that's the question I can't answer, because maybe there isn't a difference. Maybe he's always been this violent, and I just didn't want to see it. The next morning, he tells me he's meeting with a rival family, the Marchettis, to discuss a potential alliance. The meeting is supposed to be neutral ground, a restaurant downtown. I want to come, I tell him. Absolutely not. Then tell me something, I say. Are you really meeting with them, or are you walking into a trap you've already set? He doesn't answer, which is answer enough. You're going to kill them, I say quietly. Yes. All of them? Yes. Why? Because they're planning to move on my territory, and I need to send a message that no one moves on Matteo Rossi without consequences. I look at this man I love, and I see someone I don't recognize. Not because he's changed, but because the changes have been so subtle that I didn't realize we'd crossed a line from survival to cruelty. Don't go, I say. I have to. Then don't come back. The words hang in the air between us, and I see the moment he realizes I mean them. You're leaving? He asks quietly. I don't know yet. But if you walk into that meeting and kill a family in cold blood, just to make a point, then yes, I'm leaving. He stands up, and I can see the violence thrumming under his skin, the barely controlled urge to hurt something. You don't get to make that choice, he says. Yes, I do. I got on an elevator and ended up in a hotel room with a man who told me I could leave anytime. I never did. But right now I'm telling you that I'm going to. If you become the worst version of yourself, I'm walking out the door. For a moment, I think he might hit me. His hands curl into fists, and his jaw clenches, and there's murder in his eyes. Then he turns away. I have to go, he says. The meeting is in an hour. He leaves me in that apartment, and I sit on the couch we picked out together, and I wait. 6 hours later, he comes home. He's covered in blood that isn't his. His suit is torn, and in his eyes, I see something that looks like heartbreak. He doesn't tell me what happened. He walks to the shower and stands under scalding water for an hour while I wait outside the bathroom door. When he emerges, he's wrapped in a towel, and he looks like someone who's just survived something devastating. All of them? I ask. All of them, he confirms. There was another way. No, there wasn't. Yes, there was. You could have... What? He demands. Let them think I'm weak? Let them move on my territory? Let them believe they could threaten me and live? He moves toward me with something desperate in his face. This is survival, Natalie. In this world, mercy is the same as suicide. Then maybe this world is the problem. I am the problem, he says flatly. I'm the thing you should have run from. You should have walked out of that hotel room and called the police and let them deal with me. I didn't. No, you didn't. He takes my face in his hands, and I see the tremor in his fingers. You stayed. You loved me. You tried to make me human. And I killed your hope along with the Marchettis. No. Yes. He pulls me close, and his voice breaks. I'm sorry, Natalie. I'm so sorry. I came into this thinking I could keep 2 separate lives, one for you, one for this, but I can't. This is everything I am. This is the only language I speak fluently. And if you stay, I'm going to make you into something dark too. Maybe I want to be dark, I whisper. He pulls back and looks at me with something like awe. Then God help us both, he says. And he kisses me like he's lost the war, and the only victory left is this me. Still here, still choosing him. The decision comes not in a moment of clarity, but in the quiet desperation of 3 days and nights where we don't leave the apartment. Mateo orders food. I don't eat. He takes calls in the study, and I listen to him speak in voices. I've come to understand the calm voice he uses when killing people, the broken voice he uses when talking about his dead brother, the soft voice he uses only when we're alone. On the third night, I find him standing on the terrace, looking at the city like it's a kingdom he's conquered and despises. What if we left? I ask. He doesn't turn around. Left where? Anywhere. Europe, South America, somewhere that doesn't require you to be the person you've become. Then the Rossi family falls, and I'm remembered as a coward who abandoned his people. And the families I've built enemies with track me down anyway. And they kill me, and they kill you for sport. So that's it? We just accept this? You keep killing people, I keep pretending to be okay with it, and we dissolve into becoming a different version of the same crime couple everyone reads about in the news? Finally, he turns to face me. No, he says. I'm going to tell you something I've never told anyone, and then you're going to decide if this is worth staying for. He leads me back inside, to the study, to a wall that looks like every other wall. But he removes a painting, and behind it is a safe. He opens it with a combination he keeps in his memory, and inside are documents, photographs, a ledger that looks like it's at least 20 years old. This is my father's financial record, he says. Every payment made to police officers, judges, city officials. Every bribe, every favor, every life he bought or sold. He built an empire on corruption, and he passed it down to me with the expectation that I would expand it. Why are you showing me this? Because I'm going to use it, he says. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to go to the FBI, and I'm going to burn my entire family down. The words don't make sense at first. They're in English, but they seem to be in a language I don't speak. You're going to testify, become a witness, tell them everything I know about my father, about the Valentino family that I just decimated, about the structure of organized crime in this city. He closes the safe and hangs the painting back up. And then I'm going to disappear. And so are you. And we're going to try to live a life that doesn't have bodies in it. That's Mateo. They'll kill you. The moment the Rossis find out. I know. But at least I'll die knowing I tried to do something other than perpetuate the cycle. He comes closer to me. And you'll be somewhere safe, probably hating me, definitely recovering from the trauma of knowing me. But you'll be alive. You'll be free. I don't want to be free from you. Yes, you do. You want to be free from me. And the only thing stopping you is that we've tangled up together in ways that make separation hurt. But I can make it hurt less. I can remove myself from the equation. I think about the cottage. I think about the moment we met. I think about all the small ways he's tried to protect me even as he was dragging me deeper into darkness. What if I don't want you to remove yourself? He moves to the window and looks out at the city, his city, built on violence and lies. Then you get a front row seat to my destruction, he says quietly. When I flip on my family, there will be chaos. The Rossis will put a price on my head. There will be attempts on my life. You'll live in fear, always looking over your shoulder, always wondering if today is the day I don't come home. I'm already living in that fear. This would be different. This would be knowing that the danger is there because of me, because of a choice I made to try to be better. That's a different kind of unbearable. I come up behind him and wrap my arms around him. Make the call, I say. He goes very still. Natalie, make the call, tonight. Go to the FBI. Tell them everything. And then we run, and we build something that looks like a life, and we do it together. You're not thinking clearly. No. I'm thinking more clearly than I have since I walked into your hotel room. I walked in because something called to something in me. I stayed because you were real in a way that nothing else has ever been. And I'm not leaving now just because the next part is terrifying. He turns in my arms and looks down at me with an expression that breaks my heart. I love you, he says. I'm going to love you while I'm testifying against my own father. I'm going to love you while I'm in witness protection. I'm going to love you if I die tomorrow, and that's the reason I have to do this. What do you mean? I mean that I spent my entire life building something that would destroy everything I could ever love. And you made me realize that the only thing worth building is something with you. He kisses me then, and it's different from every other kiss we've shared. This one tastes like sacrifice and redemption, and the small, fragile hope that two broken people might be able to build something that doesn't require bodies in the foundation. The FBI arrives at 4 a.m. I don't know he called them until there's a knock, and he squeezes my hand, and he whispers, "I love you, stay strong." Then, they're taking him out of the apartment, and I'm watching from the window as he gets into a car that belongs to the government now, and he doesn't look back because he knows that if he does, he won't be able to leave. 3 years pass in the kind of silence that comes from being alone with memories. I'm living in Portland, working as an accountant under a name that isn't mine, in an office that doesn't know who I really am. Every morning, I wake up and check my phone with the hope that's slowly calcifying into resignation. Mateo is supposed to contact me after his testimony. He's supposed to be given a new identity, a new life. We're supposed to find each other in the wreckage. The problem with testimony is that sometimes the things you testify to have consequences you don't anticipate. I learned this on a Tuesday, when a man in a suit comes to my office and tells me that my partner, the man I've been waiting 3 years for, was killed 18 months ago. He was supposed to be in protective custody. He was supposed to be safe. But he made a choice that protective custody made clear was violating his agreement. He tried to contact you, the agent tells me. We intercepted the communication. It was a violation of his agreement. He was warned twice. The third time, he what? He tried to leave the program. We found him in transit. There was an altercation. He was killed by a member of the Rossi family, who had also been tracking him, though we believe our agency was involved in the chain of circumstances that led to, I don't hear the rest. I'm standing in an office building in Portland, Oregon, and my chest is being crushed by something that isn't physical, but absolutely breaks my ribs from the inside out. I need to see proof, I say numbly. I'm afraid that's not possible. The case is closed. And, closed, I repeat. You mean you're covering something up? You mean my partner is actually dead, and you're not even going to tell me the truth? The agent has the decency to look uncomfortable. I'm very sorry for your loss, he says, which is the most meaningless condolence I've ever heard. I don't fall apart immediately. Instead, I finish my workday. I drive home. I sit on my apartment couch and wait for the crying to start, but my tear ducts have betrayed me, and I sit in dry silence while the sun sets and the city lights come up. It occurs to me that this is the ending of our story. Not romantic, not cinematic, just a man I loved dying in an alley somewhere, trying to break free from a cage made of his own redemption. I pack a bag that night. I'm not planning anything dramatic. I'm just moving through the house like I'm being remotely controlled, gathering my important documents, the money I've saved, the one photograph I have of Mateo where he's smiling at something off camera. I'm about to leave when there's a knock at the door. In Portland, you don't answer doors at 11 p.m. from people you don't expect. But I'm so empty that the risk feels like relief, so I open it. He's standing there in jeans and a coat that doesn't fit right, and his hair is longer than I remember, and his face is scarred in new places, but his eyes are the same storm gray. "Hi," Mateo says quietly. The world doesn't stop. Time doesn't bend. I don't black out. Instead, I'm hyper-aware of everything, the temperature of the air, the fact that it's raining, the specific quality of disbelief that makes my vision tunnel. "You're dead," I say. "I was almost dead," he corrects, stepping into the apartment without being invited. I was in transit to a new location, and the marshals were taking me somewhere they thought was secure. "But nothing is secure when you've made as many enemies as I have," the agent said. The agent said what they were told to say. The Rossi family did try to kill me. They succeeded, mostly. They got me in the shoulder and the ribs, and I went down, and I thought that was it. He shrugs off his coat, and I see the puckered scar tissue on his right shoulder. But I'm apparently harder to kill than I expected. I woke up in a hospital that wasn't affiliated with the federal program. A woman was sitting next to my bed. What woman? I don't know her name. She never told me, but she paid for my care, set me up with a fake passport, and told me that the federal government was expecting a body. So it was probably time for Mateo Rossi to stop existing. I'm still holding the door open, and I'm still unable to fully believe that this isn't a hallucination brought on by grief. "Why are you here?" I ask. "Because," he says, "I spent 3 years wondering where you were, if you were alive, if you'd figured out how to be happy without me. And then today, I called the only contact I still had from my past, Gio, and he told me that you'd been living in Portland for 2 years. and I realized I've been given a second chance that most people don't get. Most people don't get to come back from the dead and find their way home. I was going to leave, I tell him. I was packing. I was going to drive to the ocean and sit on a beach and try to figure out how to live a life where I don't miss you every single moment of every single day. I know. I felt it the moment I walked in. He reaches out slowly, like he's approaching a frightened animal. I'm giving you the choice again, Natalie. You can open that door and walk out. You can have the life that doesn't have me in it. You can be free. I look at his hand. I think about the hotel room. I think about the cottage. I think about the violence and the love and the fact that some people don't get to have clean endings. Fuck off, I say. His face goes blank with shock. I'm not leaving. I'm not choosing safety. I'm not doing any of the things a rational person would do. But I never have with you, so why start now? I grab his hand and pull him inside the apartment. Besides, I was packing the wrong things. I was going to take my documents and my money, but I should have been packing my clothes and my passport. Because if we're going to run, we're running right. He looks at me for a long moment, and then he's laughing. Real laughter, not the dark chuckle I know, but something that sounds like a man who's been given a reason to believe that redemption might actually exist. I don't have anything, he says. No money, no resources, no connections that haven't been burned. Then we'll be poor together. But we'll be alive, and we'll be free, and we'll be in love in the way that only people who've almost lost each other completely can be. He pulls me to him, and I can feel the scars beneath his shirt, feel the proof of violence survived, feel the heartbeat that I thought I'd lost 3 years ago. I'm going to destroy you, he whispers into my hair. Try, I say, and I'll destroy you first. It's the most honest promise we've ever made each other. Epilogue. 7 years later, we're living in a small house in Costa Rica, under names that aren't ours. Mateo teaches martial arts to tourists who have no idea that he's actually a former Mafia boss in witness protection after witness protection. I work as a bookkeeper for a small tourism company, and I make enough money to keep us comfortable. We don't have children. Some wounds don't heal that way, but we have a life that looks like a life. We have quiet mornings on a porch overlooking water. We have a relationship that's been tested in ways that would have destroyed most people, and somehow, impossibly, we're still here. Last night, Mateo asked me to marry him. Not in a romantic way, just while we were eating dinner, he said. I think we should make it official if you want to. And I said yes, because after everything we've survived, the legal binding of our lives to each other seems like the smallest possible gesture. We'll get married on the beach in a week, with only Gio and his wife there to witness it. And I'll wear a white dress that doesn't make sense for a woman like me. And Mateo will wear a suit that he claims to hate, and will promise to stay together until death, which, given our history, might happen sooner than either of us expects. But that's okay. I walked into the wrong hotel room 7 years ago, and I found the most right thing that ever happened to me. And if I only get a few more years with him with us before something else goes wrong, before another bullet finds its mark or another family decides we're worth killing, then I'll have had more than most people get. I'll have had a love that broke me and healed me, and showed me that sometimes the most dangerous man is the only safe place you'll ever find.